Well, it's always quite disingenuous, I think, when you have sort of speakers like this, because there is no I in mass movement. I don't think anything I can say can really be testament to hours and hours of hard work put in by hundreds of dedicated activists across the country to help to make this movement move forward. But I think I can speak for everyone when I say I think we all understand the severity of the situation we face with regards to the fees, the cuts, the marketisation of our education. And when we're seeing the consequences of this in education, I think it doesn't require much imagination to realise just how badly this is going to affect every single sector of society, which is also being cut. At the occupation at UCL, we went in with a sort of slightly paradoxical mentality, which was that the objective of being in the occupation was in fact to spend as little time in the occupation as possible. The way we saw our occupation was as a base, as a hub in which we could organise and aggressively punch out of the room and begin to take back our campus, which is something I think we did very well. We went out a lot, we went into the supply postering with leafleting. We got other faculties to go into occupation. We had brilliant support from our trade unionists. And indeed we had brilliant support from thousands and thousands of students across campus. And I think we did something quite great this year, which is we turned what was a notoriously white-wing university to the left. And I think that really does give a sort of demonstration of the power of the movement at the moment. Some things that worked very well in the occupation was we used consensus decision-making. This facilitated unity across politics because many of us in the occupation were radicals, but an even greater number of us were people that had never been involved in any demonstrations before, had never considered themselves politically active. And yet we all managed to come into that room and leave more unified than when we actually come in, which I think showed the strength of this. Using an autonomous system, this allowed people to be very creative in their actions, and as a consequence, we saw people being incredibly innovative in the sorts of tactics they were using. From the creation of Google Maps by our techie team to point out where the police movements were on demonstration, to the sort of creative stunts and actions we've been seeing flaring up across London, from articles and cuts to the teach-outs and flash mobs at train stations and high street shops. The other thing this has helped facilitate is a really strong degree of trust. I think whilst we all walked in not necessarily knowing anyone, necessarily having personal relationships with these people, I think everyone implicitly trusts everyone else that was at UCL, and I'm sure this is similar at other universities, to take this action. I think the phrase brothers, sisters and comrades has never really been more valid in that occupation. There were some really brilliant things in the occupation, like it was just quite touching, I think, like discussing Chomsky with a couple of taxi drivers from Hackney, or the trade unions who were flocking in from all over London with food and money, or the cleaners that I watched turn up at SOAS with bags of food they collected from the staff canteen, or security guards who were nipping in cups of tea late in the night. We had a really brilliant letter of support from a Mexican journalist who's also a Marxist. We had lots of letters of support from across the world. He said, when the English revolt, the eyes of the world look to them in hope. And I think this is something very true. We really do have a hell of a lot of support at the moment. It is very, very encouraging. But equally, I think we also have to remember exactly what this is as a situation. I mean, this really is all or nothing. If we lose this battle, the consequences are going to be dire. This is the privatisation of pretty much everything. This is the end of the welfare state. This is the handing over of control of every aspect of our lives to private companies. We have McDonald's deciding our obesity policy, along with PepsiCo. We have private gym lobbyists discussing private health. This is literally the wholesale privatisation of our lives. And the consequences of this are going to be absolutely devastating for all of us, and we simply cannot let this happen. In regards to the things in the political situation we currently face, I think we have to be quite wary of what I term the threat from Labour. Ed Miliband has been notoriously quiet over all of this, but he's also calling himself Red Ed, the socialist. I don't think Ed Miliband is a socialist, would be particularly red. And given his appearance on the Andy Marr show, he did a very good job of illustrating how, to directly quote him, was a financial crisis all around the world due to the failure of bank regulation that caused the biggest bank bailouts in history. He was then very, very clear on how he wanted to make us pay for a crisis we did not create. He illustrated how Labour's programme involved cuts and how he thought the mistake of Labour was to not illustrate the cut programme would have done faster. Also, Labour had been donated £250,000 recently by a businessman with which to train 10,000 street activists who will surely be appearing in our communities. I think we need to be very wary of the fact that Labour are almost certainly going to let us do the groundwork to build a grassroots anti-cut movement. then they're also going to walk in and try and co-opt it. And this is something we simply cannot let happen, because Labour are not going to provide the same solutions in this present form. I think we also need to be wary of what we've seen so far. We have every reason to be optimistic, and we have every reason to be hopeful about the future, as I think the excellent demonstration yesterday showed. But we should also remember that the biggest mobilisation we've seen so far is at our best figure of 180,000 people on the streets. I think we can build on that, but we also need to be very wary of running before we can walk. And then consequently, I think we need to see a massive, massive drive in communities working with local anti-cuts groups and forging stronger links with the trade unions that we have at present. In February, we obviously cannot predict the future, but it's unlikely we're going to see any specific rally points for education, which will precipitate a second wave of occupation. However, this is not to say that there's not a hell of a lot of things we can do in the interim. At UCL, I know that the UCU are moving to strike action, which many students stand behind. But also in February, we're going to see the bank bonuses paid out. I think it's downright despicable that after we paid for a financial crisis we did not create, they are now taking our money in bonuses. And I think it's very important that we focus the attention back onto the banks. At UCL, there's talk of a wave of bank occupations, which I think is something we should consider as a national movement of high street banks, along the lines of UK on-cut style actions. In addition, there's talk about working with local anti-cuts groups and trade unions to start a wave of town hall and library occupations. We're planning on mounting an aggressive propaganda campaign, which I know people like Arts Against the Cuts are already doing, who are producing literally as we speak thousands and thousands of posters. I think also it's worth having a quick note on yesterday's demonstration. What we saw yesterday was not only a big march and rally at Millbank, then a march that refused to be contained and stayed into a group, and the end broke up into a set of civic swarms. I think it's provided quite a good sketch of the future, because what we saw was an intelligent crowd who worked together with collective intelligence. We literally did shut down London, moving very quickly, taking key road junctions, moving on. In a little small miles, we kettling over the police, chanting, you know, who's kettling who, we're kettling you. We shut down road junctions, we shut down Westminster, we shut down Downing Street, we took Oxford Circus, we shut down Topshop, we shut down Boots. This was just us, and there were 5, 6 different swarms moving around. I think what was very interesting was the amount of mass public support we witnessed. People on the sides were cheering and clapping, the bus drivers were honking their horn, random people on the streets were joining the marches, and I think there was massive, massive room for us to really build. Finally, I think something that's worth remembering is the phrase that protest is saying I disagree, and resistance is saying I will not let this happen. And I think we really do need to be gritting the gears of the machine. We need to stop this happening. We need to be looking to shut down campuses, to stop managing and implementing these tuition fee rises. Whenever politicians are speaking on campus, we should be there. Wherever politicians are giving speeches, we should be in the room countering their arguments. I think it's very important that wherever they go with their rhetoric and with quite frankly blatant lies about the nature of this cuts program, we're there as well to counter them.